It's been a long journey. From home to the office and finally the airport. But how did we get here exactly? But how did this start really? Let me give you a glimpse of hardship that has brought us here.
After arriving here, I can see why one of the most driving motivation for my mom is education.
As we all know, taxes are the most important resource to develop a nation. But what happens when people pay little to no taxes? People have to pay for everything, including education and healthcare services.
That was the case for me and my family in Vietnam, where we pay little to no taxes.
The average school hours are also grueling. It's very much like a real job. If you were a normal student in Vietnam, you would have to start classes at 7 a.m. and finish at about 4:30 p.m. That is, if you don't have any after-school classes that day. If you have the classes that day, then it's an extra 1 or 2 hours on top of that. You are effectively studying for 10 to 11 hours per day. This phenomenon is a huge problem with low-income families, but the teachers are not really at fault here. If you are a high school teacher in Vietnam, you would only be paid $300 per month, with the average cost of living in Hanoi being $500 to $1,000. It's no wonder why these classes after school exist. You physically cannot survive without the extra money that's come from these classes. The area that we live in is not very progressive. Haiphong is right next to the ocean, so it's not surprising that the most chosen career path here is marine related.
One of the key factors of our motivations to get us into the US is education. My mom has always been ahead of her time. She was scrutinized because she took us to learn English at a young age instead of making us learn Vietnamese. She never knew English herself, so it's quite a struggle for us to learn the language. I'm very grateful that she took time and money to invest in our second language. My English is nowhere perfect, but it's good enough for our life. Let's look at the cost comparison between Hai Ba Trung School, a private institution, and Trân Nguyên Hán School, a public school. Both are schools in my local area. Adding that up to about 12 subjects, excluding PE, arts, and music, you would have to pay an extra $480 a month. Not to mention if there's any class activities like visiting a museum or a monument, you would have to pay for it. This makes public schools are virtually the same cost as private school. We were extremely lucky to be able to afford a private school. Our learning experience was much less stressful since we don't have to attend after-school class. The time that I had to study for the National High School Entrance Exam was stressful, to say the least. We prepared the materials at the start of grade 9. Then we'll review them from January to May, making sure to cover every exam questions carefully. It is common sense for students to study up to 16 hours a day. Then, the test will begin at the start of May or June, depending on that year. Looking back, I still don't know how am I get through all of that. It's what extremely exhausting. All that just to get a good enough score for the high school of my choice.
My old school really only have like a small yard, so I was really surprised when I see that this school has a huge track field and also a swimming pool.
But I wonder, is this enough to lead me to a comfortable life? Is there any career path out there that is more diverse? Is becoming a doctor or lawyer the only path I can have? Well, I want to become a mechanical engineer, so let's see how much it's to come to a university. It says here is like $8,000 a year. It's so much. Vietnam Maritime University is the most famous choice for college. It is limited to say the least.
Going to school here is a very different experience. I get to choose whatever classes I like, go attend whatever hour I like, and the teacher doesn't have any hand-holding learning methods like when I was in Vietnam. I started out with shaky lines and patchy colors. I didn't improve for a very long time actually, because I never took art seriously back then. Well, eventually art certainly gets into me and I developed quite an interest at it. I slowly practiced more and I went from these to these. I'm very proud of myself for going from such a long journey. I have been drawing for like 2 or 3 years now and I hope that I'll continue to improve in the future. And thank you, Mom and Dad, for giving me such an wonderful opportunity that lets me follow my dream and have a chance in my life.